What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Driving with Duck on this Nor'easter Tuesday. Yeah, we're getting hit with a nor'easter here in Massachusetts. It's about to be crazy. Some parts of Leominster are going to get in the upper elevations. It said 20 to 30 inches, some bullshit like that. But anyway, you can find my Driving with Duck videos always on Facebook, most of the time on YouTube, and occasionally on IGTV. So here's the deal. I want to talk to y'all about words, conversations, social media, posts, comments, whatever. Now, it's a funny thing about words, right? People still talk about the Will Smith, Chris Rock situation, and it's funny to even bring that up because, you know, people talk about how in Chris Rock's special, he said, people that say, words hurt, obviously have never been hit because of them, right? So my grandmother, who raised me, always said, it's not what you called, it's what you answer to, right? That's a noble thing to say, and it's even more noble to believe. But when you're speaking to someone, it's all in how you talk and the things you say, your body language. There's so much that goes into having a conversation. I've said it in videos before. I consider myself a conversationalist. I consider myself more of a wordsmith. I know how to put words together. I know how to have a conversation. I know how to articulate myself. And I think I'm pretty good at public speaking. That's why I'm a trainer for my job. And that's why I consider myself pretty good at what I do. Now, when I'm speaking, I leave no room for interpretation. The reason why is because I want you, the listener, to have a good understanding of what I'm saying. And if I'm doing my job correctly, you and I are on the same page. What I am trying to convey in my message is what you should be imagining as I'm saying it or after the conversation is done. Now, it is on you, the listener, if you feel like there is a piece that you're missing, or if there's something that is unclear to you, it is on you at that point to come to me and say, hey, wait a minute. Maybe I misunderstood what you're trying to say, because if you know me at all, you'll be like, wait a minute, this really isn't like him to say this in this certain way. Or if I've said something else that contradicts what you think I'm saying right now, you're going to have something to say about it. You're going to ask about that particular topic and say, well, wait a minute. This is in direct contradiction to what he said previously. So let me ask about that. Let me make it clear what I believe his intentions are with what he just said. And the reason why you'd want to do that is because you want no misunderstandings between the two of us, because it's important in an interpersonal relationship or in any conversation that two people are on the same page when they're having a conversation, because you don't want any hard or ill feelings. You want everyone to walk away from that conversation knowing where each person stands. If you're having a discussion where two people disagree, you still want to be able to walk away with some semblance of an understanding, even if that understanding is you can walk away and agree to disagree. Civil discourse is what this country was founded on, and also civil discourse can allow two people to still walk away as friends, and they don't have to agree on every single point and product of the conversation. There are plenty of people that I disagree with on a regular basis. One of my best friends, we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. However, we can agree to disagree a lot, and we do. Trust that. And I don't walk away angry. I just walk away and say, okay, you know what, you can have that. It's fine. It's not really that big of a deal. I don't need to win the argument. What I need to do is understand where you're coming from, because that helps me understand you better as a person. Now, there are some people that I just refuse to engage simply because they do not grow. What helps us grow as human beings is our ability to learn, and not only learn, but integrate what we are learning. Because if you take bits and pieces from other people and you don't adhere those lessons that they're teaching you, you're not going anywhere and you're not gaining anything. It's almost like eating empty calories. It doesn't provide you any type of nourishment and you get no sustenance from it. So what's the point of eating it? So when I talk about words mostly elicit some type of emotion, either good or bad. Now, it is on us to determine which way they make us feel. However, before you react on those feelings, like when I talked about Will Smith before you react on those feelings, it is up to you to determine in which direction you're going to react. Some people understand the type of reaction they want to elicit from you. Some people will fill you full of empty calories and expect you to fill in the narrative so that you can do the work for them. That's weak-minded people for you. What people will do is give you like a Mad Lib type of deal where they'll say certain things, hit you with trigger words, and then they'll expect you to fill in the blanks. Like, for example, they'll give you some type of situation, and they'll throw in a trigger word to cause division. They'll throw in some type of fear response to something that you genuinely might not know anything about, except for it affects you in a certain type of way, and it will take every single thing that you may have in your life and say, wow, that affects me personally. You don't know how it affects someone else, but it marginalizes another person and elicits a fear response inside of you. Take that as you will. You can take a marginalized group of people, insert your favorite one here, and act like it pertains to you by them being marginalized. I'm not going to name a one. The first one that pops into your head is probably a marginalized people that doesn't relate to you. That's how this words game works. There are a lot of people that don't have a supreme knowledge of self. When you do have a supreme knowledge of self, you can control your own narrative. You don't have to let other people control the words that you hear. And moreover, if you don't understand what someone else is trying to tell you, you have supreme knowledge of self to ask, wait a minute, I don't quite understand the gist of what you're saying. So what you're trying to tell me is X, Y, and Z. And if it's coming from a narrative or something where you don't have that direct conversation, you can gather your own thoughts and then say, you know what, this is not in my wheelhouse. This is not in my direction. So therefore, I'm going to just let that rock. Or that's something that's, fear-mongering, hate-mongering, whatever. I'm not buying into that brand. I'm all set. I'm going to let that go. That doesn't speak to me, nor does it address me. So I'm going to leave that alone. Like I said at the top of this, I consider myself a wordsmith, a conversationalist. So when I'm having a conversation with someone, I make it a point to address that person individually. So I say what I mean and I mean what I say. If I say things in a certain way and it comes across as crass or rude, sometimes it gets to a point where I say something so many times and the listener doesn't get it so many times. And it's not that I dance around things I have to say. It's just that I've tried to be polite and say things on such a level where it's like, okay, I want you to understand where I'm coming from, and I'm trying to align myself with you so that we're on the same page. I can paint a picture with my words, and we're both looking out over the scenery of the situation. And we both have a clear and concise picture that I'm trying to paint and illustrate to you, so that if I'm doing my job, we're both looking at the same picture, and I'm setting the scene and you're getting it. It's almost like we're volleying back and forth with a ball, and we're both understanding and having a clear-cut idea of what's going on. However, if I'm painting the same scene over and over again and you're just not getting it after a while, I have to become that crass and rude person and finally look at you and say it in such a mean, diminutive way that eventually you have to ask yourself, wow, was it me that just wasn't getting it? Does he really have to hit me over the head for me to understand what he's trying to tell me? So sometimes you have to ask yourself, is it me that doesn't understand what's going on here? Because unfortunately, sometimes it will be you that doesn't understand the point of the conversation. When it comes down to words, yes, sometimes words can hurt, especially if you don't have knowledge of self. Because sometimes people, they are going to say words that are intended to hurt. They are intended to be divisive. They are intended to elicit a certain behavior out of a certain sect of people for a certain reason. But if you understand who you are, people can't make you move or do the things they want you to do because you understand the programming that they're trying to elicit out of you. Anyway, that was just my thoughts as I'm driving home. I'm about to hit the nasty part of the weather shortly, so this has been another edition of Driving with Duck. If you feel so inclined, feel free in your Facebook search bar hashtag Drivin with Duck. On Instagram, you can look for me, duckbeard_the_black. YouTube, you can find me, Drivin _with_duck. Hit that bell and subscribe. I wish you all the best day. If you live in Massachusetts, please be safe driving home. I wish you the best day. Love and light, my friends.